dreams, it's lost, destroyed.
I am sure if they will enter, here will be the hell for them.
If you not stop Putin, the blood of Ukrainian people will be in your hand.
On February 24th, 2022, the heart of Ukraine is bleeding. Kiev, as all of the country's main cities, had awoken to the sound of explosions after Russian President Putin had launched his all-out invasion of Ukraine. On Maidan Square, the epicenter of Kiev, the air is heavy with fumes and sorrow. A handful of people have gathered here in a show of defiance.
Подать пример, скажем так, что не стоит бояться, стоит оказывать различное сопротивление агрессору, в том числе просто хотя бы демонстрировать свою позицию. Это уже важно, потому что сейчас ребята, которые на фронте, да, чтобы они не думали, что о них тут забыли или вот, ну, что за них не переживают. Это не так.
We wanna show to all the peoples, to all world, we are not scared. We will wait and we'll see. If we need, we will defend. We will defend our country.
Few doubts that the worst is yet to come.
Well, let's now go back to Kiev, where Valery Goria joins us now. Valery, thanks for joining us and thanks for being here, of course. Now, you, of course, have been talking to people on the ground in Kiev. What have they been telling you?
They're, expecting anything to happen as from tomorrow already. I mean, the town is under curfew. People are at home. They're afraid anything can happen. Right now, a few minutes ago, there was an explosion not very far from me. And I don't know if you can see the smoke, but it's quite clear. I don't know what happened. We will find out soon.
The next morning, the city would awake to news that a military airport close to Kiev had been struck by an air raid. So had a residential building, one of many that would be hit throughout the country. In the deserted city center, only a few passers-by are scurrying with plastic bags, stocking up goods.
Okay, well, this is one of the very few shops that are still open in the city center, and it's hard to get in. I was told earlier to come back in 45 minutes. People have been stocking up since yesterday. Many shops are closed. People are really bracing for the worst now in Kiev. There is word that Russian forces could enter the capital by tonight.
I meet Annabelle as she's about to enter an underground passage after another siren rang out in the city center. She tries to put on a brave face.
I feel that, yes, we're gonna make it through. I don't know how long, but yeah, I think it's possible because I'm just an ordinary girl. I'm a dancer. I'm not a military one. I can just support with supplies or with money, or I'm doing reposts in my social media just to show all my foreign friends, like, look what's going on here. I'm not panicking, I'm trying to react. But every time I see that we have even a small win, I'm happy. I'm just like, yes, we can do this, because we are rebellious inside.
Annabelle and her parents do not plan to leave their city. Her father came from Cuba years ago to build his life here.
Esta es nuestra tierra, este es nuestro aire y este es nuestro Maidán. En este lugar hemos pasado ya dos revoluciones, la revolución Pomarancheva, la revolución del 2014, y Estoy seguro que vamos a pasar esta revolución también, o esta agresión que está llevando a cabo Rusia contra Ucrania. Debemos mantenernos siempre positivos. Es la mejor forma de poder pasar este difícil momento.
Це неправильно, щоб зараз, у 22-му році, тут в Європі, в центрі, в найбільшій країні Європи, коїлись такі жахливі речі. Помирали люди. От як ми жили не нормальним життям, як завжди, а от з такими якимись тривожними моментами, що ми повинні тікати зі свого дому, кудись там ховатися, боятися. Хтось має це зупинити. А наші хлопці, наші вояки, вони самі найкращі. І Україна переможе. Все. Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
As night fell, security forces were on their toes on the lookout for pro-Russian groups carrying out sabotage operations. Well, all police units in Kiev are under combat alarm, so here is a group controlling vehicles. Off camera, they tell me they found several automatic rifles in this car. The gun's serial numbers were erased, they're not registered. It's the third time in one day that this patrol has made such findings. There had been many more in Kiev, they said. The policemen get nervous and ask me to leave. I plunge into the bowels of the Kiev metro. Dozens of people, families, huddle in the corridors, sitting on mats and blankets, with the few belongings they could take with them. Solomia had to leave her neighborhood in a haste with her boyfriend and his mother.
Russia began shelling our homes, so we need to be here in safety.
Many, like Katerina and her family, plan to catch trains that will take them to safety in neighboring Poland.
We are angry, we are scared, we are nervous, and we don't know what to do because it's our home, it's our city, it's our country, but we should go to save our lives, and it's devastating, you know.
I don't know what kind of mind should be to start something like this and to create something like this. I just don't know what he wants at the end.
People abroad, Ukraine know.
Suddenly, a man surges from nowhere, visibly shaken.
Наше, короче, все. Ми лежимо на землі, блін. Всі, короче, лежимо. Ми до цього стремилися, блін. Оце наша життя, короче. За що ми боремося, блін? За що, короче? За що пацани наші, короче, зараз лягли, блін? За що? Вставайте!
Carriages have been put at the disposal of those spending the night in the subway. I come across Annabelle and her family again.
It really feels really safe here. There's a lot of people, families, acquaintances, friends. But I don't know, we'll have a long time to wait, and I hope that it's gonna be okay. We still believe in our forces. We still believe that it's gonna end up into something we hope good.
Hopeful or not, all are calling on the international community to take stronger action.
We begging European community for help us. You should to ban Russia from SWIFT. We think you should help us with NATO force, and we want to you help us to close the sky.
Only darkness has fallen onto the sky. The night is torn by the shriek of sirens, the thump of explosions, and the rattle of gunfire. The next day, the city awoke to news of another raid on a residential building, this time killing 2 people. A total curfew is imposed for the next 2 days on the capital, where everything is at a standstill. In the city centre's hotels, many journalists are on standby. Unlike Dennis, 18, and Dima, 19, who are working non-stop at the reception of my hotel. Most of the staff is on leave because of the war. Aside from check-ins and check-outs, constant calls and customers' requests, the two young men also deal with food supplies, which are running low.
He started 32, 35 hours ago. I start 56, 57 hours ago.
No sleep?
No, we sleep for 3 hours sometimes here on reception.
They are no longer deterred by occasional alerts.
Outside was signal of air dangers, so you should come to shelter that's situated in our hotel.
Well, there is nobody here. Obviously, the alert didn't really worry anyone. And they told me, well, you know, we don't bother coming down to the shelter every time there is an alert unless, you know, something really serious happens. Otherwise, we would be spending our days here and we have work to do.
I work so much that I forgot about war sometimes. Working, I think that's more interesting because when I start studying, I not work. Almost all my time spent to watch movies, maybe play video games. And right now, it's really like I see goals. I make some goals, so that's much more interesting.
We have to work because without us, hotel will close. So it's difficult, but we stay alive. I think if I will stay home, I will go to the army. Yes. Now I have to work, so I can't. But I think if I will stay home, I will go to the army. I'm not sure that I could take someone's life, but they take our lives, so we have to.
After the total curfew was lifted in Kiev, Russian troops had started closing in on the capital. Checkpoints and barricades had been erected everywhere in and around the city. Alongside the National Army, scores of civilian volunteers coming from all walks of life were enrolling with the Territorial Defense Forces, the reserve troops of the Ukrainian army. I meet Alexander, one of several members of parliament enrolled in a battalion based in the center of Kiev.
Ukrainian parliament is not the place where you should only vote, but you also should defend it with a rifle in your hands. Your right to vote and to have democracy. This is Kalashnikov, and if Russians will enter the city, I will do my best. Probably I will not do too much, but understanding that we are a lot of us and we are tens of thousands, I am sure if they will enter, here will be the hell for them, and we will provide them the hell here.
If Russian tanks venture into Kiev, this slogan is here to warn them. It paraphrases a famous reply by a Ukrainian soldier on a small Black Sea island when asked to surrender by a Russian warship.
Я вважаю, що вся Україна зараз каже росіянам: ідіть нахуй, не мішайте нам жити. Ми не переможні, це я впевнений, тому що я побачив кількість людей, яка записалась в територіальній обороні, яка пішла знов до лав Збройних сил України, яка вщент розбиває російську ніяку армію. Україна – це найкраща країна в світі. І ми переможемо. Слава Україні!
In the thick of the night, security forces were bracing for an attack. On the fifth day of the invasion, Kiev was still standing. Bombings would soon resume throughout the country. Day after day, the unprecedented exodus of those fleeing destruction continued. For security reasons, I'm asked to join one of the evacuation convoys organized by foreign embassies, which started moving from Kiev to the western city of Lviv. An endless journey on roads strewn with checkpoints. On the way, I meet Irene and George and their 6-day-old baby. Victoria was born in Kiev from surrogacy, for which Ukraine is a major destination. She was born a day after the start of the war.
We already were in the cell of our apartments. We were waiting, and my husband has to get in a taxi to pick up her and also the surrogate. We spent approximately 7 days in the cellar with so many other nations that are in the same situation. And also local Ukrainian people stayed with us, and they were a big support for us. She's a brave survivor.
Yeah, she's Victoria, the winning girl.
After another day on the road, we finally reach Lviv. From there, Victoria and her parents will head to the Hungarian border before moving on to Austria.
We can leave, let the war behind us, and start our journey home. That's the best feeling. I'm so sad because of the Ukrainian people. They can leave the country, but then they are not home.
A safe haven for foreign embassies and NGOs, Lviv is also a crossing point for those making their way to safety in neighboring countries. At the central railway station, the flow of refugees coming from all embattled areas just won't stop. Every day, hundreds of people queue up here waiting to catch evacuation trains to neighboring Poland.
Я приехала из Запорожья с ребенком, потому что рядом близлежащий город Энергодар накануне очень сильно бомбили. Я спасаю своего ребенка. Я не могу здесь находиться, здесь небезопасно. У меня остались родители там. Я не знаю, как их забрать. Они ни в какую не хотят ехать, они надеются на мир. Но мира не будет, я уверена.
Dozens of volunteers are here to hand out food or warm drinks, help with directions, or simply bring comfort to the travelers, mainly women and children, as most men stayed behind to fight.
Ми стараємось якось підняти настрій людям, які стоять у цій черзі, та заспокоїти їх для того, щоб вони розуміли, що найближчим часом вони вже будуть у повній безпеці та не матимуть ніхто не має ніяких намірів залишити їх тут. Там їх також чекає допомога від наших волонтерів, та ми робимо все можливе, щоб вони комфортно доїхали до Польщі.
Efforts that only briefly bring smiles to those on their way to the unknown. Vera came from Kiev, leaving everything behind.
I lost my job now. I lost my friends, everyone in other country, in other cities, and our parents didn't want to change place. Young people move, but our heart broken. We don't know our life in future, but our life in past destroyed. Our dreams, it's lost, destroyed.
Well, as the hours go by, it's literally a human sea that's flowing towards Lviv's central railway station. And these people will wait here for hours, maybe for the night, until they can board a train that will take them to safety.
I catch Vera again by chance just before I leave the station. After waiting the whole day here, she finally boarded a train to Poland. Meanwhile, help keeps being sent in and out of the city. The war has turned this arts center into a humanitarian hub. Goods coming in from all parts of the country and from abroad are processed here day and night and distributed to refugees. Several tons of food, clothes, medicine, or even toys are also shipped out daily in vans or trucks to the areas most stricken by Russian air raids. Volunteers work around the clock.
We have a couple of hundreds of volunteers at any given moment here around. Many people have lost their job because of war. People don't want to stay at home, but just want to do something that can be helpful.
We'll make registrations too.
Just like Yaroslav, who was a software engineer before the war started.
Here we have mostly stuff related to newborns, to kids, to their nutrition, because a lot of cities which are constantly under bombings are mostly in need of kids-related stuff.
Parcels are sent daily to both civilians in need and soldiers on the front line.
A lot of kids send us letters, and we're sending them in boxes to our troops. That kid is very sure that we will win. So we can't have any thoughts about not winning. We must win.
The deadly wave of bombings was ongoing across the country. Concern was growing in Lviv as to how long it would remain a safe haven. Refugees, hoping to reach neighboring countries, kept pouring in day after day.
Well, this is the end of the journey for me. I'm about to board this bus that has come to Lviv from Kiev to evacuate people to the Polish border. Now, of course, I feel very sad to leave this country and to leave so many people that I've met who have shown incredible resilience, courage and generosity.
Several of the passengers had already made a long journey from hell. Like Olena and her French husband Jérôme, whose life in Kharkiv went to ashes. They were stranded for 11 days in a shelter before being able to reach Kiev, from where they were evacuated. It's only once we had reached the Polish border and boarded another bus that they agreed to share some of their thoughts.
I want to talk about simple Ukrainian people, so much courage, united, help one another, and so much belief in our win. We were already planning rebuilding our so beautiful city, Kharkiv, the best city on earth, and we believe the city will be more nice.
When you can see some people take a risk to be killed by a barbare in the street, to bring food to someone else he never met before, I fell in love with my wife because she had the spirit. This type of situation bring back the real definition of humanity on this table.
A few hours later, Olena and Jérôme would spend the night in the Polish city of Krakow, from where they would continue their journey to France. The next morning, I find a surprising scene in front of my hotel. A group of volunteers has come from France to pick up pets rescued from the front lines.
À la frontière ukrainienne, il y a des Ukrainiens qui ont roulé toute la nuit et ils arrivent avec un camion plein d'animaux. Et mes collègues sont donc sur place pour accueillir ces animaux, revenir ici où on se trouve à Cracovie et on rentre en France avec tout le monde. Mais on va revenir, on ne peut pas les laisser.
I go to the old city center of Krakow. Refugees from Ukraine are holding a demonstration. Relentlessly, they call on Western leaders to impose a no-fly zone over their country. Alexandra came from Kiev only a few days ago.
Aidez-nous, gardez la vie de nos enfants et de nos femmes. Et aidez-nous protéger l'Europe entière. Parce que c'est la guerre entre l'humanité et c'est la guerre contre toute la vie dans le monde.
If we don't make enough effort now, Poland and other countries are going to be next.
Nous pouvons fermer les ciels
l'OTAN pouvait fermer les ciels. Ça personne, oui, beaucoup de personnes. C'est un génocide en mon pays. Il n'y a pas de raison pour faire ça.
All here call for world citizens to appeal to their governments.
We need your help. I say it's for all world. I say it's for Biden, for Macron, for Johnson, Scholz, and another world people. I want to say to you, all for you, if you not stop Putin, the blood of Ukrainian people will be in your hand.
Слава Україні!